Hey everyone, it's the beginning of the month and probably my favorite show to bring to you guys. Book news, releases, as well as let you know all the books I'll be reading for the month of December. The show is always hype, for me at least. Maybe you guys get excited too, but I get super excited during this show. So we're going to do things a little bit differently, but you'll see. Welcome to the Book Cellar, brought to you by Eventide Entertainment. So like I said, we're going to start this episode off a little bit differently. I decided to make 2 episodes this week to kind of make up for the fact that I was gone for 2 weeks being sick. I had a very serious ear infection and a cold that was kind of coupled with it. But I had my ear infection last for over 2 weeks. It was pretty scary. The doctor visit was quite expensive. And I just wasn't able to record episodes for you guys because I couldn't put headphones in my ears. And so I can't hear myself, and I probably would sound sick anyways, so it's just a disaster. But I really missed making my show and getting to talk to you guys, but I did get to read some books. I made an episode previous to this on Murder in the Orient Express by Agatha Christie, as well as a little bit of a movie review of that adaptation. This show, like I previously mentioned, is going to be, of course, my book news and what I'm going to be reading. But because I still had another book to review, I'm going to start off with that review. So you're kind of going to get a bang. I'm going to bang one in really quick, and then we're going to get into the fun stuff. Although this review was actually pretty fun. So let's just jump right into it. The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodora Gross. This was my adult fantasy novel for the month of November. It was released August 10th, 2017. It's very recent. I haven't heard too much buzz about this, which is surprising because it was actually pretty good. A lot of my friends who I talked to seemed really interested in this book when I kind of described to them the premise. So let's give you a little bit of a synopsis so you can kind of get a little bit of an understanding of what this book is about before I just start going off. Based on some of the literature's horrors and science fiction classics, this is the story of a remarkable group of women who come together to solve the mystery of a series of gruesome murders and the bigger mystery of their own origins. Mary Jekyll, alone and penniless following her parents' death, is curious about the secrets of her father's mysterious past. One clue in particular hints that Edward Hyde, her father's former friend and murderer, may be nearby, and there's a reward for information leading to his capture, a reward that would solve all of her immediate financial woes. But her hunt leads her to Hyde's daughter, Diana, a feral child left to be raised by nuns. With the assistance of Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, Mary continues her search for the elusive Hyde and soon befriends more women, all of whom have been created through terrifying experimentation. With their investigations, it leads them to discover a secret society of immoral and power-crazed scientists, and the horrors of their pasts return. Now it's up to the monsters to finally triumph over their creators. So, one of the books I'm a part of on Goodreads was actually having a book club-esque discussion in regards to this book that I was actually able to participate in. Kind of a different flow. I've never done that before. Basically, we would read a particular set of chapters, discuss questions and thoughts, and engage with other readers, which made reading this book extremely enjoyable for me. This was, like I said, one of the first times I ever did this, and I think I'm going to do it again. It's actually made the concept stick a little bit more, as well as kind of getting more feedback, like right away from people. So this book has a Gothic and late Victorian time period feel to it. Many of the characters are parts of science fiction and classic horror books that most readers and people are familiar with. Some of the characters were Sherlock Holmes, Watson, who were, interesting enough, investigating Jack the Ripper murders, as well as engaging with the main character, Mary, Dr. Jekyll. There's also Mr. Hyde, Frankenstein, and a bunch more that I don't want to spoil. I would list this book as fantasy, science fiction, murder mystery. It is a female narrative with a lot of strong women who have strong opinions and aren't the standard from female protagonists seen in a lot of literature. Some literature devices that I haven't been exposed to made this book bounce between the 19th and the 21st century, which was interesting. This device allowed brief moments of humor in an otherwise dark story. I mean, come on. It's horror/science fiction novel. It can't all be roses and fairy tales. I actually felt like this novel would make an excellent TV show, as it kind of gave off a Penny Dreadful-esque vibe. Although it's been labeled as a retelling, I thought this was fresh and used only popular characters we all know. It constructed a completely different and creative story. The writing was excellent, and you could definitely tell that the author not only did a lot of research into these stories, but had a huge passion and enjoyment in telling her own version. It was unique and fun to join in on the adventures of these ladies, and the ending definitely left some space open for a possible sequel or series, which I personally would be all for. And actually, it was confirmed by Theodora Gross herself that the sequel will be out by next summer. The only complaint that I have was the conclusion. This was a bit drawn out, and by the end, a little bit disjointed. The climax happens before the conclusion, so we are left with 100 pages or so of stuff. Yet, now that I know there's a sequel, it is clear that there was a build-up for book 2, which I understand. Personally, I would much rather have a story that captivates me for the first 400 pages instead of warp me to tears until the end. Honestly, I'm not a fan of cliffhangers, and for me in a lot of novels, it sometimes feels like a cop-out, so I'm not too disappointed in the ending. Overall, I felt this was original. I enjoyed getting to read about all the classic characters, all in one book. Overall, I give it nearly perfection. A 4.5 out of 5. Really good book. I recommend it. It was so cool to read about, all these characters that were in classic novels, that we've all read in high school and college, and even for fun. I don't want to tell you all of them, but definitely fangirl moments. So cool. Anyway, so before we get into the good stuff, such as your news, reviews, and what I'm reading for December, let's take a break and bring you the latest from Eventide Entertainment. Grab your snacks and drinks. It's going to be a long one when we get back.
Wednesdays on Eventide, Robert Yetter and Mike Shea sit down and throw albums at each other, talking about them, picking them apart, ripping them a new one. All different artists, all different genres, all different levels of suckage. It's Track Record, Wednesdays at 9 a.m. on the Eventide podcast feed. For more information, go to eventideent.com. Nothing brings people together quite like the movies, and every week Aaron Lopez wants you to join him in a discussion about the latest and greatest in the world of film. So grab a drink, grab some popcorn, and get comfy. Come join Aaron and friends every Thursday at The Drive-In, presented by Eventide Entertainment. Hey there, podcast fans. Eventide Entertainment is proud to announce that we are now the new home for The Life with Don Smith. This show is recorded live every Wednesday on WWSU 106.9 FM. We bring you the full, unabridged, 2-hour special every Friday on Spreaker, YouTube, and of course, iTunes. Comedian Don Smith talks to comics and other local figures about movies, music, comedy, and life in general. Here's a clip from last week's show.
With the new semester starting, which, by the way, welcome back, everybody.
Oh, yeah. It is that time of year.
It is. This is welcome week. It's the first week of the new semester. Everybody is not yet ready to walk out. There are still people deciding whether or not they want to drop all their classes and disappoint their parents. And for me, it's too late. They were disappointed a long time ago.
This is the point where you decide whether or not you want to have a career with your name on your shirt.
Right. Which when I worked here, I had my name on my shirt.
I mean,
then I went back to where I used to work. Now I have an actual a badge.
Yeah, see,
with my name on.
I went from having a name tag to a name badge.
Yeah, that's moving up.
There is.
That's upward mobility.
When it goes from being plastic to laminated, that's when you know you've made it.
Well, yeah, that badge is important. It gets you in and out. You got to have it.
Get that little key fob with the microchip in it that scans you into the door. That's how you know you're on your way.
You've made it at that point. And I still got the janitor's keys jangling from my belt still, which so that's great too. That's another indicator of a success story.
Oh yeah, you've got access to things.
Oh yeah,
I'm
somebody now.
Make sure you check out The Life with Don Smith every Wednesday at noon on 106.9 FM and every Friday here on the Eventide Entertainment podcast feed. For more information, go to www.eventideent.com. And now, here's this.
Welcome back. We're going to jump right into some book news, releases, and my December reads. What's interesting is there was barely any news as far as adaptations go, and even releases. I didn't realize that there's not a lot of releases in December. You would think there would be, just because I feel like December is a really good retail month, but at the same time, maybe I'm the only person that buys books around Christmas. I don't know. But what I did notice is January is going to be nuts. There's so many releases in January, so get ready for that episode. It's going to be long. That said, let's just get into the book releases. Okay, so the first one, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of this genre. I would actually say this is one of the only genres I don't read, and that's romance. I just not into it. When I first saw this author, I was skeptical, especially with it being released so close to the holidays. I thought for sure it's going to be a romance. But after reading the synopsis, I was wrong. Good for this author for branching out. I had no idea she wrote novels other than romance. I may check it out. It's Year One by Nora Roberts. It releases December 5th. So it's actually a dystopian. Can you believe that? I thought Nora Roberts just wrote romance. I'm so out of touch. Here you go. Here's your synopsis. It began on New Year's Eve. The sickness came on suddenly and spread quickly. The fear spread even faster. Within weeks, everything people counted on began to fail them. The electrical grid sputtered, law and government collapsed, and more than half the world's population was decimated. Where there had been order, there was now chaos. And as the power of science and technology receded, magic rose up in its place. Some of it good, like the witchcraft work by Lana Brigham, practicing in the loft apartment she shares with her lover Max. Some of it is unbelievably evil, and it can lurk anywhere, around a corner, in tunnels beneath the river, or in the ones you know and love the most. As word spreads that neither the immune nor the gifted are safe from the authorities who patrol the ravaged streets, and with nothing left to count on but each other, Lana and Max make their way out of a wrecked New York City. At the same time, other travelers are heading west too, into a new frontier. Chuck, a tech genius, trying to hack his way through a world gone offline. Airless, a journalist who lost her audience but uses pen and paper to record the truth. Fred, her young colleague, possessed by bludgeoning abilities and an optimism that seems out of place in this bleak landscape. And Rachel and Jonah, a resourceful doctor and paramedic who fend off despair with their determination to keep a young mother and 3 infants in their care alive. In a world of survivors where every stranger encountered could be either a savage or a savior, none of them knows exactly where they are heading, but a purpose awaits them that will shape their lives and the lives of all those who remain. So, again, I might pick this up. It might be just a library rental. Not really too sure how I feel about it. I love dystopians, but I just, I could take a little bit of romance in my books, but I don't like it. Call me crazy, I just don't. Alright, so next, of course the biggest movie of the year is almost here, and I think all of you know what I'm talking about. Star Wars. I am so excited. I am not one normally for companion novels that many popular franchisees spill out, but I have been known to chill in a Barnes & Noble for hours and read these kinds of books like I did with Harry Potter. Star Wars is probably one of those other franchises I will give a pass to, and I actually enjoy seeing the art and extra tad bits of information. Of course, these don't release until the movie, because why would we want to spoil it? So, without further ado, it's Star Wars The Last Jedi, the Visual Dictionary, and The Art of Star Wars The Last Jedi. These both release December 15th. Next, we have a very popular graphic novel that is releasing its next volume. I'm actually a big fan of this series as well. I also am a big fan of Batman. But I usually wait for this series in particular to come out in volumes just because I used to collect Batman kind of regularly. But this other one I usually just do volumes. And this is Saga Volume 8. This releases December 27th. It's a great graphic novel. If none of you have tried it, I would recommend it. It's definitely science fiction-y, different concept. I haven't heard bad things from anybody who's actually read it, so I like it. Check it out. Alright, so the biggest YA release that I could find that's making our way to all of our bookshelves is actually one I'm embarrassed to say I had no idea was in the works. It released last year, but this date is for the paperback. See what happens when you're out of the loop for a while and you go to college? I was a major fan of this series when it first released, and I've read all the books. Can you say I'm surprised and delighted? Yeah. Seeing that's a paperback, I will be definitely picking this up when I'm visiting my family in Washington. This is The Fever Code, Book 5, prequel to the Maze Runner series, by James Jashner. Release December 26th. Here's the thing though, it's a prequel. Should I give you a synopsis? Maybe. But this is the 5th book in the series and some major twists happen in the first book. So if I was to give you a little taste, would it ruin everything? All I'll say is it's a dystopian that even has some movies, with the 3rd movie being released by spring 2018. So if you want to know what it's about, rent the first movie. It's called The Maze Runner. I actually love this series, and I surprisingly enjoyed the movies so far. The cast choices are pretty awesome too. Alright. The last biggest release for December appears to be a mystery thriller, which looks to be right up my alley, as I have been on a true crime kick lately. My boyfriend can attest to this. He's come home many times to me watching serial killer interviews and ID Discovery and Crime Watch Daily on YouTube. Yeah, been kind of obsessed. This is probably the biggest and most notable release to hit shelves this December. Let's just say that I hope I get some Amazon or Barnes & Noble box so I can fill up my shelves when I get home. This is The Vanishing Season by Joanna Schaffhausen. Not sure I said that right. Anyway, this releases December 5th. Ellery Hathaway knows a thing or two about serial killers, but not through her police training. She's an officer in sleepy Woodbury, Maine, where a bicycle thief still makes the newspapers. No one knows she was once a victim, number 17, in a grisly story of a serial killer, Francis Michael Coben, the only victim who lived. When 3 people disappear from her town in 3 years, all around her birthday, The day she was kidnapped so long ago. Ellery fears someone knows her secret. Someone very dangerous. Her superiors dismiss her concerns, but Ellery knows the vanishing season is coming, and anyone could be next. She contacts the one man she knows will believe her, the FBI agent who saved her from a killer's closet all those years ago. Agent Reed Markman made his name and fame on the back of the Coben case, but his fortunes have since turned. His marriage is in shambles, his bosses think he's washed up, and worst of all, he blew a major investigation. When Ellery calls him, he can't help but wonder, sure, he rescued her, but was she truly ever saved? His greatest triumph is Ellery's waking nightmare, and now both of them are about to be sucked into the past, back to the case that made them, with a killer who can't let go. So, check that out if you're interested. Woo! Alright, woohoo! Next part! So excited! So my books for December. So for the month of December, since it's all about being with friends, family, and people you sort of care about, I've decided to do things a little bit differently this month. I have 5 books to read for the month of December. And since I'm visiting my home back in Washington for about 3 weeks, yes, a very long vacation, I requested some help from some of my closest friends to help me review some books. Out of the 5 books, 3 of them will be hosted by myself and a friend. Should be a fun change of pace. You'll probably get to know me a bit better as well as hear some interesting personalities and opinions. So without further ado, the books that have been chosen for December are Adult Fantasy, The Onion Girl by Charles D. Lint. My friend Danielle is going to be joining me and helping me review this book. This is a book that she has begged me for years, and at the time, I just didn't have the opportunity to read. I was working 3 jobs and going to school full time, didn't have the time for it. She's rereading it, though, to be fresh, and I'm sure she will love it just as much as she did before. Just a warning, though, Danielle and I are a pretty serious friendship, but I haven't seen her lovely face and been in her company since I moved to New York. But the thing about Danielle is she's amazing and tends to dive deep into more mythological and the literary world. She may do more speaking than me, as she is quite captivating. Synopsis. At the center of all the entwined lives in Newford stands a young artist named Jilly Coppercorn. With her tangled hair, her paint-splattered jeans, a smile perpetually, oh my gosh, on her lips. Jilly, whose paintings capture the hidden beings that dwell in the city's shadows. Now, at last, D. Lint tells Jilly's own story. From behind the painter's fey charm lies a dark secret and a past she's labored to forget. And that past is coming to claim her now. I'm the Onion Girl, Jilly Coppercorn says. Pull back the layers of my life and you won't find anything at the core. Just a broken child, a hollow girl. She's very, very good at running. But life has just forced Jilly to stop. So I kind of butchered that a little bit, but you guys forgive me. So next in the young adult category is Shiver of Snow and Sky, which actually right now is under $5 for an ebook on Amazon. So if you're interested in reading along, please check that out. It's by Lisa Lueddecke. Again, bad with names. This was just recently released at the beginning of October, so I will hopefully be able to pique your interest in a newer book, as well as my great friend Elena, who was also my roommate for nearly 3 years, will be helping me review this. We both bonded over our love and passion for books, especially in this category, and I gave her a list of books, and she debated between this one and the new John Green. She's more intrigued by this, so I hope we can bring you some laughter and fun during this review. On the frozen island of Skane, the sky speaks. Beautiful light appears on clear nights, and their colors have meaning. Green means all is well, and the goddess is happy. Blue means a snowstorm is on the way. And then there's red. Red is rare. A warning. 17 years ago, the sky turned red just as Asa was born, unleashing a plague that claimed the lives of hundreds of villagers, including her own mother. This time, when the sky once again bleeds crimson, she must discover how to stop the onslaught before so many lives are lost again. So a dystopian. You guys know how I love dystopians. Next, we have the book adaptation. I specifically gave my good friend Alexandria a list of books that had movie releases so that we both could read the book, but also watch the movie together when I was visiting. I felt this would be better for us staying on track, as well as piquing her interest in various topics. She's a very big fan of movies and has a very creative imagination. We can get pretty goofy, though. The book and thereby movie she chose was extremely popular in 2015 and 2016. Neither of us have read or seen the movie, however, so I hope it entices us the way it did for so many of you. Book adaptation is Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. Rachel takes the same commuter train every morning and night. Every day she rattles down the track, flashes past a stretch of cozy suburban homes, and stops at the signal that allows her to daily watch the same couple breakfasting on their deck. She even started to feel like she knows them. Jess and Jason, she calls them. Their life, as she sees it, is perfect, not unlike the life she recently lost. Until today. And then she sees something shocking. It's only a minute until the train moves on, but it's enough. Now everything's changed. Unable to keep it to herself, Rachel goes to the police. But is she really as unreliable as they say? Soon she is deeply entangled, not only in the investigation, but the lives of everyone involved. Has she done more harm than good? Pretty intriguing. Sounds like a mystery. Don't know anything about it. I know it's super popular, but I don't know. Yeah, that's what she chose. So here's the thing about the next category. It's not for everyone. Some of us are huge true crime buffs who watch all the YouTube videos, TV shows, movies, and read all the books in this genre, regardless of how old they are. If we ever get a new release in this category, that's something that I will bring your attention to. But keep in mind that a lot of books chosen in this category are between 10 to 30 years old. I don't just talk about my review in this category, but also give you some background info on who this is about, the crime committed, or even give you some recommendations for shows I'm watching. Alright, with that being said, during my last review of this category in November with Devil in the White Sky by Eric Larson, which was about Henry Holmes, the serial killer back in the late 1800s, I told you that I was currently obsessed with the show Mindhunters on Netflix. I'm actually going to try and get my mom into the show when I'm visiting, just so I can watch it again. It was that good. So I decided to get after the real thing and read the book the show is based on. Here we are, Mindhunter by John E. Douglas. He has hunted some of the most notorious and sadistic criminals of our time. The trailside killer in San Francisco, the Atlanta child murderer. He has confronted, interviewed, and researched dozens of serial killers and assassins, including Charles Manson, Richard Speck, John Wayne Gacy, and James Earl Ray, for a landmark study to understand their motives, to get inside their minds. He is Special Agent John Douglas, the model for law enforcement. Legend Jack Crawford, the Thomas Harris thrillers Red Dragon and The Silence of the Lambs, and the man who ushered in a new age in behavioral science and criminal profiling. Recently retired after 25 years of service, John Douglas can finally tell his unique and compelling story. This should be insanely interesting to get inside the mind of serial killers and understand where the start of that behavioral science in this field all began. And finally, we have listener's choice. Drum roll, please. This is the best I could do. Here we go. It's Norse Mythology, Neil Gaiman. Introducing an instant classic, master storyteller Neil Gaiman presents a dazzling version of the great Norse myths. Neil Gaiman has long been inspired by ancient mythology in creating the fantastical realms of his fiction. Now he turns his attention back to the source, presenting a rendition of the great northern tales. In Norse mythology, Gaiman fashions stories into a novelistic arc that begins with the genesis of the legendary 9 worlds, delves into the exploits of the deities, dwarves, and giants, and culminates in Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods and the rebirth of the new time and people. Gaiman stays true to the myths while vividly reincarnating Odin, the highest of the high, wise, daring, and cunning, Thor, Odin's son, incredibly strong, yet not the wisest of gods, and Loki, the son of the giants, a trickster and unsurpassable manipulator. From Gaiman's deft and witty prose emerges the gods with their fiercely competitive natures, their susceptibility to being duped and to dupe others, and their tendency to let passion ignite their actions, making long-ago myths breathe pungent life again. I want to thank everyone who suggested this book. I'm very excited to read it. I told you back in my first review of American Gods, it was my first very episode of the Book Cellar, that what enticed me the most to that book was reading about the gods, old and new. I took a Greek mythology class in my last quarter at university and was completely enthralled in the topic. So I cannot wait to read this and let you guys know what I thought. Not only that, but I am visiting some awesome friends this month, and I know I will want to tell them some of the interesting stories I've read about in this book. Thank you. I think in the future what I'm going to do differently for this category is anyone that has a suggestion they want me to read for this category should tell me in either the comments or on my Goodreads page, and I will put that request in a jar. And at the end of the month, I will pull a suggestion out of the jar. I only received about 20 suggestions through the poll and other means, so I want to seriously get you guys to recommend a book. Please. I want to know what you want me to read. I love getting to pick my own books, but I get to pick 4 on my own. You need to be in charge of at least one. You guys are listening to me talk about them. So what a great month this will be. I hope you're excited to hear from some other wonderful ladies. It should be a really good time, probably really funny. Beware of the craziness that may ensue. Thanks for listening, and we'll bring you another episode next week. Don't forget to add me and check out my Goodreads, and I hope I piqued your interest in reading this week. See you guys later.